endangered species, and it is so important that we really, really protect them.
All right, now we want to switch gears and now have that conversation around financial inclusion. The two gentlemen joining me in studio this afternoon are both heads of partnership at their respective organization. We have Daniel Madara, who's head of partnership at Credit Bank. Karibu to the show.
Thank you.
All right, and we have Stephen Ruhohi, who is also head of partnership at his organization, that is Tala. Welcome to the show. All right, first things first. We are back to the era where transactions have a cost pegged to them, whether you're looking at bank to mobile or mobile to bank. So, and I want to take you, Daniel, I want to get your thoughts first. When you look at the cost of withdrawals, the cost of sending money, how doesn't that then limit how many people can access that?
Yes, so thank you for that question. So yes, it doesn't limit per se, but it gives, there are some costs and benefits that are there. So for banks, yes, there is a cost in terms of giving the service, but you also look at the benefits. So does it make more sense? We are looking at, with mobile money, creating more convenience. There is a cost to the bank in terms of providing that, but also there is a benefit to that. So we usually just look at the two.
All right, so Stephen, one of the things that a lot of Kenyans have come to appreciate is the role of digital lending platforms to them in terms of access to credit. So from where you sit, how much further can we push that agenda?
That's a great question. So how we look at it, since Tala launched in 2014, financial inclusion is one of those things that does not really come to an end. So let me put it this way. We are looking at it in two main ways. So number one would be increasing the avenues through which customers can access our product. So looking at how else can somebody access Tala away from an app. And then I think the other one would also be increasing our offline presence. So we like to say in Kenya, vitu kwa grao, literally meeting our customers where they are, because then they will tell us this is where we are falling short and this is where we can improve.
All right, Dan, the question of accessibility, again, so many Kenyans are moving away from the conventional banking system to mobile banking. So in terms of, as far as disruption goes, how big of a disruption has that been, and how has it impacted or changed how consumers behave?
Very good question. So we see that with even the latest statistics from CBK, we are seeing a decrease in terms of ATMs in the market, whereby we have a reduction. Last year, 65 banks actually let go of their ATMs, but we are seeing an upsurge in online transactions. This is e-commerce. We are seeing more embedded finance in us. We are seeing open banking. So we see that around, like in Credit Bank, we are seeing like 94% of transactions are actually digital. Yeah. So, and this goes to most of the banks as well.
All right. So, Steve, there's the question of digital lending applications now being regulated by the CBK. In terms of changing the game, since some of them, since the regulations came into effect and now, what would you say has been the biggest improvement or the biggest benefit of that regulation?
We love, first of all, Tala is pro-regulation. What that does for us, it evens the playing field. So when you had more than 300 lenders who are just playing by their own rules, you almost get penalized for following a code nobody else is playing by. So Tala welcomes regulation, but most importantly to your question, we are seeing customers are now being protected. So rogue lenders who don't have ceiling caps on how much interest they can charge, use of customer data without observing what ODPC provides, we are seeing all those getting fixed. So we are seeing an improvement.
All right, and Danny, again, the conversation around the banking industry and the call for bigger banks and more consolidation within the banking industry has even popped up today earlier on with the governor at the function that he was speaking at, and this clearly is going to continue happening. What do you project happening within the next 4 years during his first term?
Okay, in terms of the consolidation of the banks, for me, I feel I see that there is more competition. So consolidation, yes, but there's also a variety of competition within the financial industry. You see that there are some who are very quick to be able to innovate. That is something that is critical for the market. We see even for now, there is a niche that fintechs and the players who are there actually are playing, and this can be played also with other players.
Yeah.
So consolidation is welcome, but also there should be the need of looking at the competitiveness and the innovation that is needed in the industry.
All right, Steve, there's the question. I mean, you're both heads of partnership. So there's the question of partnership. When you look at fintechs partnering with banks, what is the potential, and has that really been exhausted by the current players?
Definitely not. I mean, if you think about it, you can never really get to a place where you are universally saturated. So Tala, as Tala, we're also looking forward to announcing quite a number of interesting partnerships we have. We are currently in the process of signing. The long story is, if you're going to truly include the customer in financial access, we cannot do it alone. We have to leverage with whichever partner that is able to deliver quality services to our customers within the provided standards by regulation. So we anticipate that partnerships is actually going to be a key way of how digital lenders evolve going into the future.
All right, Danny, the question of accessibility is still a big one. I mean, when you look at different parts of this country, there are very few banks. Unlike in Nairobi, where you have all the banks, there are areas in this country that you get maybe one or two players within the banking sector. Maybe what more should be done to make sure that those farmers in central Kenya, or those herders in Kajiado or the northern parts of Kenya are also brought into the financial system?
Yeah, so thank you. And that is where partnerships come, and looking at the maturity of the ecosystem. So we have the mobile banking, we have the mobile phones, which is a great way of doing it. But we need to be able to go further to be able to see what is accessible to these people. So we have smartphones, but are smartphones relevant to somebody who's a herder in Garissa? So they will use feature phones. So what are the partnerships and what are the innovations can we do with the feature phones to be able to make them accessible? How also we should be able to do it is make solutions that are actually relevant to them and practical to them, with various partners, looking at the capacity of those people who are actually doing it, who are the best place to do it, and that's where partnerships come.
Yeah. So, Steve, and unfortunately, during the campaigns, you were cited as the so-called poster child in terms of access to credit, and also just being in not some very positive light in terms of the cost of credit.
Okay.
Now, from where you sit, of course, a majority of those allegations were not true, but then there's the question of going forward. How then do we ensure, within the banking sector, the big conversation at the moment is the issue of risk-based pricing.
Correct.
How then do we adapt the same model for digital lenders?
It's a great question, and you're right. So when it comes to risk-based pricing, so in 2014 when Tala launched, we've always used alternative sources of data to underwrite a customer loan. So this is nothing new to us. It's something we've continued to do. But over time, we turn 10 next year. What that has allowed us to do, having served more than 8 million customers, we have a lot of data and our systems have continually improved. So risk-based pricing becomes, for the customer who repays on time, it means they enjoy low interest rates. So that's the ultimate benefit of risk-based pricing.
All right, so in about a minute before we run out of time, I just want to get both your sentiments in terms of what should customers expect. For the Mama Mboga who has a kibanda, what should she expect from, let's say, Credit Bank? I'll start with you, Danny.
Yeah, for Credit Bank, we are very practical in terms of the partnerships that we pursue. So looking at cost, one of the things, looking at convenience, but also looking at how we can be able to meet that need, that immediate need. So not giving you something that is fancy, but something that is practical. So in the coming days and months, you'll be able to see some partnerships that are actually geared to those three aspects.
All right, Steve, in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so what should customers expect?
Number one, how else to access Tala away from an app? So alternative access channels. And number two, financial literacy. How can they save? How can they invest?
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have, and we have to wrap up the show right there. And thank you, our viewers, for making time for us. Mbiu ya KTN is up next.